everyone. Welcome back to Fear Given and Rethemed. We are your hosts, Casey and Sean. And for those of you that this is your first episode, we talk about haunted attractions, oddities, and all things horror. Thank you for listening. Today's episode, we are talking about the movie franchise Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, we have run out of a lot of the haunted attractions for this time of year. So now we're trying to move into movie reviews and full franchises.
Yeah, and what?
Nothing.
And we chose this one because, why did we choose this one?
Because this was the movie that we watched on our very first date.
Oh, yeah.
Paranormal Activity 4.
Yep, we did. Because you wanted to watch a scary movie to cuddle up to me.
Mm-hmm.
And, did I tell you that I had already seen it before?
No, not until after, I believe.
I had seen it, when did it come out? Let's see, 2012. And so we were at Disney in 2013. And so I had just recently seen it before coming to Orlando. So I didn't tell you that, but I loved it, so.
Well, perfect. You got to watch it twice.
Mm-hmm. Well, kind of watched it. At least. Okay, so for each movie, so if you don't know, there are 7 of the Paranormal Activity movies. And so we'll go down the storyline and do a quick intro to each movie. So if you haven't seen any of these movies, spoiler, there will be some spoilers. We're going to talk about the movie in full. So if you haven't seen them, go watch them before you listen to this episode. It took us about how long to rewatch all 7 of them?
Total? Probably 10 or so hours.
Yeah, so if you have that much time, go ahead. We clearly do not have a life, so. Alright, so you want me to go ahead with the first one?
Sure.
Okay, so Paranormal Activity, that is the main title of the first one, came out in 2007, and this is the intro to that movie. After a young middle-class couple moves into a suburban starter tract house, they become increasingly disturbed by a presence that may or may not be somehow demonic, but is certainly most active in the middle of the night, especially when they sleep, or try to.
Good synopsis. And what year did that come out?
2007.
Alright, so 3 years later, in 2010, they released the sequel, and here's its synopsis. Daniel Ray, along with his wife Christy, a daughter Allie, toddler son Hunter, and their dog, moved to Carlsbad, California. A few days later, their residence is broken into, however, nothing appears to be missing. In order to prevent reoccurrences, they install a number of security cameras that will record everything on a DVR. After they hire a Spanish-speaking nanny to look after Hunter, she informs them that there is something wrong in their house and performs prayers, much to the chagrin of Daniel, who lets her go. He will subsequently regret this decision, as more inexplicable and strange incidents occur, with Allie concluding after research that their house may be possessed by a demonic entity.
Ooh, scary. Okay, and then a year later, 2011, Paranormal Activity 3 came out, and this was, it took a different approach. So in 1988, goes back in time to California, cinematographer Dennis moves to the house of his girlfriend Julie to raise a family with her daughters Katie and Christy. Little Christy has an imaginary friend named Toby, while weird things happen in the house. Dennis decides to place cameras in the house to capture images during the night, and soon he finds that there is an entity in the house. Dennis's friend Randy Rosen, actor Dustin Ingram, researches the events and learns that his house might be a coven of witches, and the children may be in danger.
Ooh. That one's one of the better ones. So, a year after that, in 2012, they released Paranormal Activity 4. For this one, the story takes place in 2011, 5 years after Katie killed her boyfriend Mika, sister Christy, her Daniel husband, and her Daniel husband,
Wait, what?
and her husband Daniel. Jeez, golly, and took their baby Hunter. The story focuses on Alex and her family experiencing weird stuff since the new neighbors moved into the town across the street.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So it took them a couple of years to come out with the next one, but they didn't name it a number. They named it Paranormal Activity: The Marked Ones. This is about a guy named Jesse. He begins experiencing a number of disturbing and unexplainable things after the death of his neighbor. As he investigates, it isn't long before Jesse finds he's been marked for possession by a malevolent demonic entity, and it's only a matter of time before he is completely under its control.
So now they're on. Go ahead, what were you going to say?
No, I was just saying, that's scary.
So they're on a roll now. So that one took place in 2014, or came out in 2014. The sixth franchise film is Paranormal Activity: The Ghost Dimension, released in 2015, a year later. The Ghost Dimension follows a new family, the Fleeges?
Fleeges, I think.
Fleeges?
I think. I don't know. I didn't know that was their last name.
I didn't either. The Fleeges, Father Ryan, played by Chris J. Murray, Mother Emily, played by Britt Shaw, and their young daughter, Leela, played by Ivy George, who move into a house and discover a video camera and a box of VHS tapes in the garage. When they look through the camera's lens, they begin to see the paranormal activity happening around them, including the reemergence of young Christy and Katie.
That one was an interesting one. And we had not watched these, like, the last two, I think. No, this one we didn't. We've never, like, actually sat down and fully watched.
I think we did. I don't think we remembered it. I think we tried, and it was absolutely ludicrous at the end of it, because we weren't following the story back to back to back, remembering all the little details.
Right. This one we took a deep dive.
Yeah.
Obviously, because we have to do a
all
podcast
within
on
about 4 days we watched all of these.
Yeah, it was pretty heavy. Some weird dreams came from that. So the last one is Paranormal Activity: Next of Kin. This was released in 2021. Margot, a standard young adult with a dark past. As such, she takes advantage of the internet to look into her ancestry. Margot turns out to be related to an Amish man named Samuel, who may have some answers or information about why her mother abandoned her as a baby. Together with her friends Chris and Dale, they set out to the middle of nowhere to make a documentary about where she comes from. All right, so those are the first, or all through the 7 movies. So now we're going to kind of go through our viewer rankings. So we'll kind of go like, what's our favorite one? And then we'll kind of go down the list.
Okay.
Do you want to start off?
Sure.
Okay, so what was your first favorite?
So my first favorite, and I don't think this is going to be a popular opinion because I think it's not very highly rated on Rotten Tomatoes or anywhere else. So my favorite out of the entire franchise was Paranormal Activity 5, The Marked Ones.
That was your favorite?
That was my favorite.
I thought you said you didn't like that one when we were watching it.
No. So I didn't at the beginning.
Okay.
I didn't think I was going to take many notes when we were watching it. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it. I remembered bits and pieces.
Fun fact, I did not take any notes for this movie. I don't know why. I just didn't.
Did you take any notes for this?
Oh, yeah. Like, you should see my notes on my phone. So 5
was the only one?
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous.
I think because I liked it so much, I wanted to, like, focus on it and watch it.
Was this your first pick?
No, it's not my first pick.
How far down the list is this for you?
It's second.
All right, that's not too bad. It's still up there.
Mm-hmm.
So I put this as number 1 for multiple reasons. I felt like it was one of the films that tied most of the franchise together. I loved that it revealed one of the kill scenes from a different perspective and gave a little more context to it. So, for multiple reasons, this took first place. To me, the scariest scene was... Yeah, I only had one for this one. It was when Jesse is trapped in the basement of Anna's house.
Mm-hmm.
He goes down the little trap door, and he's pulling back the clear paper, and he runs into the younger versions of Katie and Christy.
Yes.
with blacked out eye sockets.
That's so funny because that
He
was my favorite scariest part too.
he tries to run back upstairs. The door slams in his face, locking him in. So then he has to go back to where Katie and Christy are and face them again.
Yeah, that was really scary. So instead of like going back and forth, I
Yeah,
will kind of tell you'll list yours and then
yeah,
I'll say, oh, that was mine, and then we'll talk about the movie.
perfect. I also have a lot of kind of favorite key moments and details I
Okay.
want to talk through on each one. So,
So the marked ones, this came second on my list because to me it's the scariest ones besides the first one. And to me it was the funniest one because I love the banter between Jesse
yes.
and his friend Hector.
Hmm.
And I like that there were a lot of jump scares that genuinely like made me not want to look at the TV.
Yeah, and
I
this was the
was,
first one in the franchise to have like well-known actors, I
mm-hmm,
believe. The
yeah.
fourth one may have had a few, but this one, I mean, one of the guys is in FX's series The Mayans,
Oh,
the
really?
spinoff of Sons of Anarchy.
Okay. They kind of look. He kind of looked. Are you talking about Hector?
No, Arturo, Oscar's brother, the one that's the gangster.
Oh, right, right.
He
Okay.
plays in that
Yeah,
show.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I really liked all of the characters in this movie, and I like how it tied itself together with all the clues from the first and the second movie.
Hmm.
And I did put that my scariest, or the scariest part, where when they were in the basement with all the sheets, and he turns around and sees Katie and Christy with their dark eyes. Oh, that creeped me
Yep.
out.
And that's a conspiracy theory we can talk about another day of blacked out eyes in
Mm-hmm.
kids and where they show up to people's doors.
I know you love that
That
conspiracy
is
theory.
my top one. We listened to a podcast, oh my goodness, Theories of the Third Kind.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my favorite episode that they've done. Is
Yeah.
when they talked about that.
Yeah. Okay, so what was your second one?
So before I get to, do you want to go to the second one or do you want me to go to my kind of key
Oh, I'm sorry.
moments?
Yeah, go to your key moments of the marked ones.
So I have several key moments in all of the movies.
Okay.
For this one, like you mentioned, the box of VHS tapes are found in Anna's house. That ties back to really all three of the first few films. Um,
Anna's house.
yep,
Who's Anna?
Anna is the neighbor, the Bruja.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So
Okay, sorry.
she's what ties the movie back to the coven
Right.
that runs everything. She was part of it.
Yep.
Um, so the box of VHS tapes found in Anna's house, they're all labeled 88 to 92.
Mm-hmm.
Katie and Christie's childhood. Jesse gets the same bite mark on his arm that all the other possessed people have in the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Anna's journal is a big one for me. It has one of the pictures in it shows the door with the symbols around the perimeter,
Mm-hmm.
which ties back to Ghost Dimension when they put it behind Lila's bed or Leela's bed,
Mm-hmm.
and then it also ties into Grandma Lois's house. She has a door, I
Yep.
believe, upstairs that has all of
Upstairs.
those markings on it.
Mm-hmm.
But for that one, it almost acts as a protection barrier. It doesn't really act like a portal from any scene that uses it.
I think it does because remember when they went, I don't remember which movie it was, but when they actually went into it,
Hmm.
they were in a different house.
Was that it? I thought at the end of this one, that's when Hector runs through that and then closes the door, and Jesse goes away and starts acting normal.
I don't know. They all run together now.
Yeah,
It's so weird.
so either way, that gateway or that portal or the door kind of symbology around the perimeter of it is a big headline in this one to me.
Yeah.
Another one is when Jesse, Hector, and Marisol are in Anna's apartment and they go down to the basement and they're crawling back out because they heard footsteps and they see a
Yeah.
lady leaving.
Mm-hmm.
It is not completely certain, but it looks eerily like Grandma Lois.
Lois. Mm-hmm.
So that puts her in their timeline as well, which is this whole one, like a lot of the underlying background for 5 is time travel,
I know.
which again, when we first watched it, way back when it came out, I thought that was really dumb. I thought they ran out of ideas. I didn't understand their long game. But I get it now. So
I
in
wonder
addition,
I wonder if they had that all mapped out
I
in
don't
the
think so.
doing the first one because
I
they filmed
doubt
out
it.
of sequence.
They did, but I don't know if the director or Impelli
I don't know.
knew that far in advance that he was going to be able to make 4 sequels.
Mm-hmm.
to a movie that had, what, a $15,000 budget or something like that?
The
It was
first one,
ridiculous.
yeah.
So in addition to that, they got to see Oscar's wall of international newspaper clippings of marked ones and mothers offering their firstborn sons as ritual sacrifices, in addition to leading them to Allie Ray from the second movie. And she's the one that tells them about the coven. Another cool facts about it were Arturo, Hector, and Marisol got to visit Grandma Lois's house, and then Hector ends the film in Katie's house, which is a huge spoiler.
Yep.
And that's what leads to the Mika's kill from a different perspective.
Oh, that was so crazy that when I saw that. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah,
It, like,
you got real excited real quick at the end of that one.
I know. I was like, ooh.
So that's all I've got for the first one. You want to go to my second one on my list?
Yep.
All right. So in the number 2 place for me was Paranormal Activity 2. Which for me, whenever these films came out, I didn't see the first one when it came out. The first Paranormal Activity film I watched was the second one.
This was my last place.
This is your last place?
I don't know why. I just do not like this one.
I don't understand how you put it behind Ghost Dimension and Next of Kin.
You'll see.
Jeez.
I'll
All
tell
right,
you.
so for this one, my scariest scene was the very last scene in the movie. It still traumatizes me, and honestly, if you pay attention for every single one of my scariest scenes, almost all of them include Katie. She is the scariest character to me. Even
yeah, but
when
she's not
possessed.
she's not in all of the movies.
She's not, but
yeah,
any
she
of
does
the
a
times
really
that
good
she's
job.
in the movie, she's part of the scariest scene.
Yeah, she's pretty scary.
So the last scene in the movie, it was on October 9th of 2006. About 11:45, Daniel's asleep on the couch. Hunter starts crying upstairs. Christy goes to check on him. Katie is then seen in the side room when she goes upstairs. She disappears when the camera goes back. And then she shows back up behind Daniel on the couch, snaps his neck. Right after that, walks upstairs very slowly. As soon as she gets near Hunter's bedroom, she doesn't run, but
She
in my head she
throws.
runs. She speedily walks
She
up to Christy, throws her against the camera,
yeah.
and then stands there in the middle of the room and steals Hunter.
Yep.
We've talked about this in multiple episodes. I don't like when people run at me,
Oh, I know.
and I think this is one of those reasons.
Really?
Yeah, I hate this scene.
Well, that's not the
genuinely
only
despise it.
scene in all of the movies that happens. I mean, it happens in
Exactly.
literally every single one, I feel
Yeah,
like.
Katie's a runner. She runs at many
Well,
people.
technically, it's not Katie. It's Toby.
Technically.
Because Toby is possessing all of these people.
Whatever. We'll get to who Toby is later.
Okay, so yeah, I didn't like this one. And the reason why is I didn't find it very scary. I don't know
Ridiculous.
why. The girl irritated me. Allie? Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know why.
I didn't like the boyfriend.
Well, yeah, nobody likes the boyfriend, but
I like the boyfriend in the fourth one.
the boyfriend in the fourth one.
Yeah. We'll talk about him when we
Oh,
get to that
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
He was kind of
I think it's because I expected a lot after the first one,
okay.
and it just didn't like.
And this was technically a prequel
Yeah.
to the first one, right? The first one
Yep.
was Katie's possession.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is Christie's possession.
And this movie was actually happening at the same time as the first movie was happening.
kind
Not
of.
not like when it was released. I'm
It was
talking
a few
about
months before.
right. So Christy got possessed before Katie did.
Right. And then her husband Daniel and Allie decided that they were going to transfer it to the next
Yes,
closest,
they did
really
a-
the only relative,
Yeah, they did like a ritual or whatever.
to trap it and
Right.
transfer it.
Yeah. So it did answer a lot of the questions that I had
Okay.
after the first one, but I was still confused, obviously. So,
Yep.
but the scariest part on that one for me was when Christy gets pulled down the stairs into the basement at like 2 a.m.
That was one of my favorite moments,
Ooh.
but it wasn't the scariest to me.
I did not like that one.
Another good moment was when Allie gets locked out of the house and the door slams shut.
Oh, yeah.
That one caught me off guard.
That's just the wind, though. Don't worry.
Yeah. And then when Christy is at home one of the few scares that happens in the middle of the day. It's 3:30 p.m.
Oh, I hate it when it gets
She's
light
in the
outside.
kitchen
Yeah.
and everything's cool. Nobody's home except for her,
Mm-hmm.
and all the kitchen cabinets open by themselves. Scares her. She shouts at the entity, "Leave me alone."
Yeah.
Tea kettle whistles, and then she closes all the cabinets
I
and
have
acts
a
like nothing
I
happens.
have a fun fact about that one, but I'll wait until we get to the fun
Okay.
facts and trivia.
All right, I'll remind you.
Okay.
So my last of my top three was the first one.
Okay. I was
Um,
hoping it would be in your top three.
because this is your number one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, what's your scariest scene?
So the scariest part, I mean, this whole movie just just scared
The
me.
premise is terrifying.
Yeah, because it's so
The in,
relatable. Like
right. It's an
anybody, it's a
invisible
yeah.
force.
And when I saw this in theaters, I thought it was legit. I thought because it was like found footage of blah blah blah
And
blah,
that's what they.
and it kind of freaked me out that their names were the same as
Yeah.
their
They
actors.
definitely pulled a kind of a Blair Witch approach.
Yes. So the scariest part was when Katie gets up in the middle of the night and she just stands there for hours, and then she just casually walks downstairs. Um, I've always hated sleepwalking because of this,
Mm-hmm.
and because you never know when someone is either sleepwalking or they're possessed.
Yeah,
Like,
and
and
you
then
sleepwalk all the time and have no idea.
me?
Yeah.
No. No. I don't want to spend the night with anybody that sleepwalks. I don't want to. It just creeps me out.
Yeah, I would have to lock them in a room.
Oh my
There's no
God.
way I could be there.
So yeah, when she like stands there for hours and I'm like, "Oh my goodness."
So that's when she stands there for hours and then is found outside?
Yes.
Okay,
She
'cause
goes
she
downstairs.
stands up by the side of the bed twice.
Mhm.
So,
This is before she goes downstairs and sits on the swing like
yeah,
a crazy person and just sits there
yeah.
for hours
So,
in the cold.
my scariest scene was, again, when Katie stands by the edge of the bed.
Yeah.
But this is the one where she goes over to Mika's side.
Oh, and
The covers
watches
pull
them.
off of him
Oh yeah, that
all
was
by
scary.
themselves. And then she walks to, let's see, this is about 3:15, night 21. So she stands on his side of the bed for about 2 hours,
Mhm.
and then walks downstairs, real calm, cool, and collected, yells for Mika.
Oh yeah.
Mika goes downstairs, and then all of a sudden he comes running back upstairs. He gets thrown at the camera,
Yeah.
and when he starts to uncover the rest of the viewfinder, basically,
Mhm.
she is standing at the doorway.
Oh yeah, and then she goes over and
She
sniffs
goes over
them.
and smells them, I guess. I don't know. And then she looks at the camera and smiles.
Yeah.
And that's when the movie
Oh
cuts, right?
yes, it cuts, and it's
Yeah.
oh my gosh. When I saw that the first time, I was like,
I don't like people that smile.
well, also
after
I
they
was
do that.
young. It came out in 2007, so how old were we?
15?
Yeah, so like I was so scared.
Yeah. It was.
And I think I
Um,
really liked this one too because the budget was so low and they had like minimal
yeah.
things to do, but they did such a good job with like making it seem so real.
Are part of your fun facts, whose productions
Yep.
this is their first film?
Mhm.
Okay. Then I'll leave that for later.
Okay.
Some of the things I really did like about this movie were the editing of the footsteps in the powder.
Yes, that was awesome.
I thought that was really, really well done, how they edited it. And as well, the visual effects of Katie being dragged out of the room and out of the bed.
Mhm.
And then on the morning after night 20, they double layer Katie's voice when she says to Mika, "It's better if we stay. I think we'll
Oh,
be okay
yeah.
now." And then she
Ugh.
smiles.
That was so creepy.
Because it wasn't super obvious that they double layered her voice.
No.
Or for kind of an effect on it. But it was really well done.
Really well done. The only thing I did not like about this movie was Mika. He was so
I don't
annoying.
think he was that bad.
If you were antagonizing the demon that I knew was
Yes.
haunting my life,
All right.
I
I'm
would
on
be
board with
like,
you there.
peace out. Oh my god, so annoying.
All right, so my top three, just kind of to wrap them back up, was Marked Ones was number one,
Hmm.
the second one was number two, and then the first movie was my third. What were your
Okay.
top three?
So my first one was the first one, Paranormal Activity, and then the marked ones, and then the next one was Next of Kin.
Your third was
Yeah.
Next of Kin?
Yeah. So the reason why
Go ahead and
This
talk
bec-
about that because this
okay.
is last on my
Oh
list.
my gosh, that's
I
funny.
hated this movie.
So I know why you hate this movie, and I know why other people hate this movie, but I really liked it because it was, to me, it was super scary. I feel like it ties in with the Mark ones on a scare level of like how scary it is. I liked it because it's very cultish and it gives off like the Midsummer and Midnight Mass vibes.
Okay.
It's also very gory and it gave me anxiety. So I knew that that was like, I don't know, I just don't want like a boring movie, you know? It also definitely confused me after watching all the other ones because it didn't mention anything regarding Katie and Christy.
Hmm.
But that was to be expected since, I mean, this was the last one.
And this was also the only one that didn't get a theatrical release
Right.
because of COVID. It was
Yep.
supposed to,
Mm-hmm.
and they
They
ended up
couldn't.
pushing it straight to Paramount for streaming.
Yeah. And technically, to me, this wasn't the last one. Ghost Dimension was basically the last one to me. I feel like this was a different movie. Like a different, like it shouldn't have been
Yes,
included in the franchise.
I agree. One of my notes was that the production quality didn't match the others. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know that it was higher or lower, but it felt too professionally done, and I could not
Right.
get my head past the slow mo cameras and the Mortal Kombat scenes at the end
Oh my
when they're
gosh.
trying to kill or shoot Asmodeus. Eh, no,
Oh.
I couldn't do it. It just looks stupid.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. I agree with that. But this one just kind of went into like the origin of the demon.
Mm,
Kind of, not
not really.
really, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, I like this quote that someone said about the movie um on IMDb, and it says the original series was so good because it was set in an ordinary looking house like yours or mine, and the thought of your partner spending hours through the night standing over you and staring was simply terrifying. A film set on an Amish farm isn't scary in any way because who of us is ever going to go to one? I disagree with that because Amish people in Amish farms are scary.
Only because you've watched too many cults or cult documentaries.
I guess so.
So, what was your scariest scene in this movie?
When she's under the bed, she goes upstairs to the attic because she's like, "Oh, I think my mom is up there or whatever."
Yeah.
And so she hears Jacob,
Hmm.
her dad,
Grandfather.
her grandfather or whatever, and she gets underneath the bed and she's like laying there and waiting for someone, and then you can see the bed springs like dip.
Yeah, and Jacob reacts to something,
Yeah, and so no, at that point Jacob was he went downstairs.
but he like looks at the bed and
Yeah.
sees something and then runs
Yeah.
away,
And then she
and then the
like
bed spring.
yeah, the bed spring moves and then you can see that something is like sitting on the bed,
Hmm.
and then she puts the camera up there and there's nobody there. I don't
So
know, that's
I
just
almost
creepy.
had that as my scariest scene, and I didn't because I remembered a different one where Margot wakes up in the middle of the night. Her bedroom door opens by itself. It's
Mhm.
the night that her two roommates won't get up. Like she
Right.
keeps trying to wake them up and
Yeah,
shake
they're
them and
passed
nothing.
out.
So then she looks through the window and there's a group of people waiting in the yard, presumably for her.
Mhm.
She hears footsteps outside of the room. Like an idiot, she goes to investigate it without. Well, I guess there's no light bulbs in there because they're Amish.
She's like she has no like she was
No fear.
just no
None of the
fear.
people in these franchises do. Everybody keeps the lights off.
I know,
The
it's so
first thing I would
crazy.
do is try to turn the lights on. Or pull out my phone and have a flashlight. Literally anything other than walk in the dark.
Well, they have the
So,
camera. They have the
yeah, they
the
have the
light on
night
the
vision.
camera.
So she goes to investigate it. She hears growling, and then an invisible force slams open the door and grabs her. And then the scene ends with an older lady speaking another language in the doorway. That
Mm.
creeps me out.
Yeah, that was kind of creepy.
What were your fun or favorite moments or details of this one?
Um,
Do you have anything?
I liked that it was obviously was scary to me, but it wasn't like the other films. So it kind of gave me a break from watching the empty house recordings,
Mm-hmm.
trying to piece the puzzle together, which gives me anxiety sometimes,
Yeah.
honestly. So it kind of gave me a break, and I'm like, okay, I can like watch a different movie without trying to piece all these puzzles. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it
just
was kind
liked
of a
it.
standalone.
Yeah.
It was more about Asmodeus and less about Toby. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think Toby played a role. I don't think they
No,
mentioned the name Toby.
they did not.
Okay, so this was like bare bones
It
back to the
yeah,
original
it was
story
like yeah.
of the demon, not Toby.
Another
Um,
creepy part was at the end when Samuel is possessed and he gets in the car or gets in the truck. He
this is my
starts
last note I have for
driving
this.
and then he starts listening to country music.
Specifically,
I don't remember who it was.
Hello, Darling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just that
Um,
was funny to
One
me.
of my favorite quotes, or a few of my favorite quotes from this one, was Margot is talking to a little girl that is named the exact same name as her mother, Sarah,
Mm-hmm.
and then also ties back to the original story of Asmodeus. In we'll talk about more of the background of that later. But she tells the little girl, "I like your doll." I thought that was really good.
Oh
I
yeah,
love
I
that it
like your
tied back
doll.
into the Conjuring franchise and Annabelle, whether it was intentional or not.
Yeah.
And then when they cut out the two-headed goat in the barn,
Oh,
one
that
of the
was
older
so
ladies
creepy.
tells Jacob it's starting to spread. We have to do it now. And for some reason, that just stuck out to me.
I know. I asked you when we were watching. I was like, "What does that mean?
Yeah.
What's spreading?"
Ba, ba, ba,
So yeah, that was my third one.
Um, so that we don't have to spend a whole lot of time on the details of 4, 5, and 6.
What do you mean?
Um, so
Like our
my
rankings?
yeah, so my fourth ranking was Paranormal Activity 3.
You mine too.
My fifth ranking was Paranormal Activity 4.
Okay.
Where did 4 end up on your list? Next to last?
Yeah,
Okay.
6.
And my next to last, least favorite was Ghost Dimension. And
Mm-hmm.
then my last was Next of Kin.
Yeah.
I just felt like Ghost Dimension and Next of Kin had really obvious and cheesy special effects.
I liked that
It
one.
was less invisible and it was more in your face. This is what the monster looks like. And I think it makes it less terrifying for me.
I didn't like the fact that you could see the demonic entity in the camera. It just took a very different approach to the series. There was also time travel and portals, and it was very confusing.
Yeah.
But it could also serve as a Christmas movie
Yeah.
because it's set during December in the house that they live in, which is gorgeous, by the way.
Even if you can get past the tree that changes size and shape throughout the movie. Did you notice that?
I didn't.
Yeah.
It changes shape
I don't know that it was intentional.
through the camera. It's
Not
distorted. The whole
supposedly
house is
through
distorted.
each of the scenes.
Oh.
Sometimes it is vastly different. I
That's-
didn't notice it, but
that's
it was
really
one
weird.
of the trivia things I found. So what we can do is instead of going through the deep dive of all our favorite moments, we can still list our scariest scenes.
Okay.
So for the third one, I had a tie for my scariest scene. I wasn't able to really decide between Katie and Randy playing Bloody Mary in the bathroom,
Okay,
where
yeah.
they go out and the shadow runs past the door and locks them in.
You didn't read my notes, by the way, did you?
No, you only sent me kind of a basic outline to put my own notes, but no.
Yeah, that was that was the scariest part to me.
So I don't know if it was that or if it was at the very end when they're in Grandma Lois's house and Katie is crouched by the stairway and she's crying, allegedly.
Oh, yeah.
Dennis tries to go up to her and turns her around. Right before he does that, she starts laughing, turns around,
Ugh.
has the possessed face, and kicks Dennis down.
Yeah, that one was
Or
scary.
pushes him down. Something pushes him down. Also, there's a book that Dennis uses for research that Randy borrows from the library
Yeah.
called Demonology.
He didn't borrow it, he stole it.
So I only bring that book up because it's going to come up later in my fun facts and trivia.
Yeah, so the scariest part to me was when Randy and Katie were playing Bloody Mary in the bathroom. And Randy was like legit scared. He was like,
Yes.
he got scratched or whatever. And yeah, that was so scary. I do have a sidetrack on this one.
Okay.
So, why does Dennis, their stepdad, look exactly like Micah?
Mika.
I genuinely thought it was the same actor.
You did. We had to stop and pause.
I was
just so we
like,
could look
that's
it up.
Micah. And you were
Mika.
like, sorry, Mika, whatever. I don't like him anyways, but Mika.
So what was your scariest scene in Paranormal Activity 4, since now you've watched it at least 4 times?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, this one. So the scariest, I had a lot of notes on this one. when they were at the house across the street, which is Robbie's house, the little weird kid,
Hmm.
and Katie appears out of nowhere. And that's when I
Yes.
was like, "Oh, dang, that's
Yeah.
Katie." Yeah, so that was a good
So
part
one
for
of my
me.
favorite key moments was when he looks at, or she looks at, Wyatt and says he looks just like his mom,
Mhm.
talking about her sister.
Yeah, and that's when you're like, "Oh, okay, that's not
That's when it
Wyatt."
starts to kind of match, but I
Yeah.
don't think it really hits yet.
Right.
So my scariest scene was at the very end again, has to do with Katie. Ben sits down at Alex's computer after he checks the closet,
Mhm.
and he's wanting to look at the recordings and kind of see what's up. Why is nobody there? And whenever he sits, Katie's right behind him in her, I think her typical
Her kill.
white wife beater, wasn't she? I feel like she wore
Oh,
that for like 90% of all the
she
movies.
did. Yeah, the wife beater tank top.
So it's either that or when Katie runs at Alex when they're in her house with the demonic face,
Yeah.
or
Ugh.
when they're in Katie's house.
Yeah, this one I did want to say about this one is that this one always scared me. And when did it come out? 2012, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, because this is like the one where they brought in the laptop webcam era.
Yeah, this was right up your alley.
Yeah, it was because this I would always look for weird stuff. I had a long distance boyfriend at the time and we would Skype all the time and he would like leave his camera, like go to the kitchen or whatever, and I would just be staring at his room or whatever, and I was afraid that something was gonna like be there, and so like I don't know what I would have done had something been on their end, but yeah, that one's scary.
So my scariest scene from Ghost Dimension was night 4 at about 1:30. Ryan and Mike are watching another video. I think it's the second or third video of Christy trying to kind of channel what she sees through Toby's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And she perfectly describes the room that they are watching her video
Oh my
in.
god, yes,
And
that was
then Leela
scary.
comes into the frame, sneezes,
Sneezes, yes.
and Christy, without missing a beat,
Bless
says,
you.
"Bless you."
Yeah,
And
that freaked
they
me
don't
out.
even catch it. Then they go back and watch it, and then they show Emily the mom, and
Yeah,
terrifying.
it is terrifying because you're like, wait a second, they're watching us right now, but this was like years ago.
Right. And my
So
favorite quote in the
crazy.
entire movie was Leela telling her dad, "I'm gonna set him free, Daddy."
Ugh,
Yeah, it's still creepy. That, and then they
creepy.
only needed one drop of blood.
Oh yeah,
Those two.
that poor child.
What was your scariest scene in Ghost Dimension?
I think that one, the
That one?
one where yeah, where he's like, oh, they're looking at me,
Yeah,
and then there was a lot of jump scares where the demon was like coming at you, but
yeah. They like to showcase that shadow.
yep.
So the last one on my list was Next of Kin, as just to reiterate it.
Mm.
To me, the scariest scene for this one was when. Oh, I already talked about that. Just kidding. All right, I already gave my scariest scene. My bad.
So we didn't really talk about the third one,
Uh,
which is the '80s tapes with Christy.
we did a little bit. It came
Okay.
fourth on my list, but we did kind of jet past it.
Oh, we did. Okay, so oh, we did. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so now we're on fun facts and trivia, I think.
I did want to say in the third one,
Mhm.
the oscillating fan camera was so scary because it would like turn.
Yeah,
And then another scary part was when the babysitter was sitting in the
In the
kitchen and the sheet,
Yeah.
ghost sheet or whatever, just
like
like,
condensed behind her.
yeah, that was
Yeah,
scary.
that was a good one.
Okay, so yeah, let's go on to fun facts and trivia.
All right.
All right, so do you want me to start off?
Um,
I have two for 1 through 3.
so I guess I do have these in a specific order. Are we going to do trivia now, or do you want to do it at the end?
We'll do fun facts first, and then
Okay.
we'll go to trivia.
Okay.
All right, so for the first movie, there's two fun facts I learned. So the first one is the actors weren't given scripts. They were given guidelines on how to behave or what to discuss in their scenes. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Another one was they filmed for a budget of $15,000 and it grossed 9.1 million in the first week in the US, breaking the record of highest grossing weekend ever for a movie playing at less than 200 theaters.
I mean, when you only have, what, two actors and they're
Good
both paid
Lord.
$500 a piece.
Yeah, but they renegotiated that after the
Good. Good
fact.
for them.
All right. Any fun facts about the first movie?
Nope.
Nope. Oh,
I
that's
only
right.
did 4 through 7.
Okay, so second movie. During the first 17 nights or so, you can see two things that never change or move: a white cup in the kitchen in front of the fruit plate and the pillow arrangement on the sofa. Clearly, a lot different night scenes were shot in the same night, and this was one of your favorite ones. What was that?
That's my water bottle. Sounds like a little, like, coyote screaming.
Oh,
It's weird, sorry.
okay. So, yeah, that was so if you go back and watch that one, look for that because I didn't notice that until the end. For the scare scenes, most of the cast reactions are spontaneous, such as the cabinet sequence with Christy. This is what we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So the actor, I guess Sprague is her name, was informed that one of the cabinet doors would fly open, but wasn't warned that all of the cabinets would spring open, which provoked a genuine reaction from her. And you can kind of tell in that scene that she was genuinely scared.
Yeah, she's not handled it well.
Yeah, so
Okay.
thought that was cool. For the third movie, at around 4 minutes, the scene with Christy's loose tooth was real. Little, so says little girl shows up on set and says that she's got a loose tooth. Ariel Schulman said, "We say film it, work it into the scene. Can't fake that."
Perfect.
Also, this film takes place in September of 1988 with certain dates highlighted graphically. One highlighted date is 9/10/88, but then the events skip ahead past 9/11, a storytelling decision that was very important to the filmmakers. Out of respect, the director said, never going to do that.
It's fair.
Yeah, so those are my fun facts for the first three. What about you?
I
4?
have an abundance. I have 12 fun facts.
Oh my gosh,
I know,
babe.
so I'm going to try to skip through them and only focus on the ones that I went down a really, really dark and deep rabbit hole.
Okay,
So I already talked about the woman in...
the well.
Yep.
Just kidding.
Oh, just kidding. I didn't talk about this. So
Okay.
at the end of the fourth... No, at the end of the fifth one, at the end of marked ones,
Mm-hmm.
you and I argued about who picks up the camera at the end.
Yeah.
Because all you see is, like, her eyes, maybe her nose, and her forehead.
Yep.
So I think, based on research online and forums, that it is Alex from the fourth movie.
Your favorite
and you
girl.
think it's Katie.
I think it's Katie.
I think Allie's my favorite.
No, you liked Alex, the blonde.
I like Alex, but I think Allie's...
More attractive.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah. So,
Well, I like Hector, so we'll just leave it at that.
in Paranormal Activity 6, Ghost Dimension, the couple talks about their real estate agent as being Katie Hubbard.
Oh yeah.
I think that's an obvious tie to Katie, so that was cool.
Yep.
Skipping that for now. Did you know that the father in Paranormal Activity 4 actually died before the film was released from a massive heart attack?
I did not.
And him and the mom were actually married in real life.
Wait.
That was a real couple.
The fourth one.
The one
Which
with
one?
Alex.
Oh.
Yeah, the one with Robbie and Wyatt or Hunter. Yeah.
Wow.
Also, it's taken you... We've been recording this for 45 minutes, and you have made no mention that we have a nephew named Wyatt.
Oh yeah, we do. That is crazy how I didn't mention that. Because we aren't.
Aunt.
No, we're not saying Wyatt all the time.
I know, but
So,
and
like-
isn't it John Wyatt?
John Wyatt, yeah.
Cool name.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a fun fact. In Paranormal Activity 4, the character Robbie was named after Robbie Mannheim, which was a real child that in 1959 was an alleged victim of an evil possession, and they performed an exorcism on him. Did you know that?
I did not. That's scary.
Also, the kid that played Robbie, do you remember him talking about a very expensive fork? And it was
Yes.
100 years old?
Yes.
Not scripted. The kid
Really?
came in with a bunch of random items on set, and
That
they
kid
were
is
like, you can
so
just talk about
weird.
him however you want. And he was like, all right, this is a very expensive fork, and it's over 100 years old. And the director was like, all right,
Okay.
that's cool, I guess, because I guess somebody asked the director about it in an interview, And he was like, that was not planned at all. That was the little kid. We
That's
take
so funny.
no, we didn't do that.
Oh my goodness, that kid cracks me up.
Did you know that Ghost Dimension was actually released in 3D? Probably not
No.
everywhere, but it
You
had a
know,
3D
that's so
release.
weird because when we were watching it, I was like, oh, this would have
It
been
makes
cool
way more
3D.
sense being in 3D. So maybe
Yeah,
that's why I didn't like it now.
probably.
Um, you'll like this. So the actor that plays Jesse in Marked Ones, did you know that he was covered in tattoos from his neck, his hands, his arms?
Ooh, really?
Yep, and they had to digitally edit them out. And the only time you can see them is during the vending machine fight. You can see one right above his knee.
Oh, I did not know that. That's very
Yep.
interesting.
Um,
Okay.
let's see. The sixth one, or the sixth movie, on one of their movie posters, they used a tagline stolen from Scream 3. You can't save them. All you can do is watch.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to skip the few fun facts I have that took me down the rabbit trail. And we
Okay.
can do trivia, and then I'll come back to them. That
Okay,
work?
that'll work. Okay,
All right.
so,
And don't put them in. Try to put them out of order.
oh, you want them out of order?
Yeah, your trivia.
Okay.
Because I don't want to guess like, oh, that's the first one or whatever.
Okay, ready?
Mhm.
First question. What was the name of the actual paranormal investigator slash researcher they utilized for the film?
You know, this came up in my research, and I forgot who it is.
His name is Christopher Chacon. Chacon?
I don't know.
I don't know. That's how you say it. As with Paranormal Activity, the first one and the second one, Paramount Studios once again utilized paranormal investigator Christopher Chacon. This is how you spell it, Chacon. I don't know how to pronounce it. Who is recognized as one of the world's foremost authorities on paranormal phenomena to internationally promote and publicize the third installment.
Huh. Okay.
Interesting, huh?
All right. So in the second and the sixth movies, something is written on the wall in blood, typically both times. MEUS.
Yeah.
That is Latin. Do you know what it is Latin for?
No.
Mine.
Mine.
Yep, because they are marked and they are chosen, and the demon is saying that that child is mine.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's kind of a possession.
Well, that's weird because, okay, so what about this one? Ready?
Uh-huh.
In the trailer for the second movie,
Mhm.
there's a message in the mirror written in blood. What does that message say if you flip it horizontally?
I don't know.
It
Sorry,
says,
those are my knuckles cracking.
what is happening to Hunter? It's so also in the mirror, letters written in what seems to be blood spells a message. Upon flipping the picture horizontally, the message reads, "What is happening to Hunter?"
Interesting.
I'll have to go back and look at that trailer,
Yeah,
but
I don't remember that.
I thought that was really cool.
So to continue with the translation stuff, in the last one, next of kin, there's a message in German on the church door, or on the barrier to the church door, and it says, "So weit nicht weiter." Do you remember what that means?
Yes, it means, oh gosh, end here.
Nope.
End.
Nope.
It's in my notes. Can I look at my notes?
No.
Dang.
It means this far.
This far.
No further.
No further. Okay. Yep.
All right, your turn.
Okay. Where was the original Ouija board used in the film Purchase in the first movie?
This is the first one.
Remember that, the one that,
Where was it actually purchased?
Mhm.
Because in the movie, Mika says, "I didn't buy it, I borrowed it."
right, because he's, whatever.
I don't know, Walmart.
No, close. The local Costco of Oren Peely. How do you say his last name?
I don't know. I have no
Oren,
idea.
the
Yeah.
director. A local
Interesting.
Costco.
I didn't even know Costco sold Ouija boards.
I don't either.
Interesting. All right.
Well, it was forever ago. It was 2007, so.
What is the only Paranormal Activity film that was not released in October?
Ooh.
Because they all were, except for one, and it was due to filming taking longer than expected.
Ghost Dimension?
No, marked ones.
Oh. When was it released?
March, I think.
Really?
Yeah, it was the only one in the franchise that they were going to delay it, and they were going to delay it till October the next year,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, oh, well, let's just go ahead and release it. And it
Oh,
did.
okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one. What was the demon Toby named after? I don't know that your answer is accurate because I got this from
So
IMDb, whatever.
this topic is what I
I know.
took a really deep dive on.
Okay, so what do you think it is?
So from my research, it was the Book of Tobit,
Mm-hmm.
also known as the Book of Tobias.
Okay.
So
Well,
what's your answer?
according to the directors, Shulman and Jost, whatever, the demon in the film Toby was named after the assistant director's dog and the writer's neighbor's dog. But that was from IMDb, so maybe yours
But
is.
Shulman didn't direct the first one, did he? I thought
Yeah, he did.
Oren Peli.
And Shulman. Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that.
Well,
It matches too much,
that
but
might be wrong.
I don't believe that one.
Okay.
That may be
That's why I wanted to
a
put that on there.
coincidence, but
That could be true.
all right.
Okay.
What is Jason Blum's least favorite film of the franchise? Also, did we skip that fun fact?
Oh, that it's.
That Paranormal Activity, the first one, was one of Blumhouse's first major films.
We did skip that.
They had a few different production companies over the years before this, but
Mm-hmm.
this was like when they became Blumhouse Productions. This was one of their first movies that like made it.
Yeah, I didn't know that until we started rewatching it.
The profits from this actually were what kickstarted them being able to do bigger films again and again and again.
Yeah, this was like their.
And their model is low budget, high performance.
Yep.
Basically,
And they
or high
do
profit.
such a good job.
So, what is his least favorite film of the entire franchise?
That's a good question. Ghost Dimension?
No, Next of Kin.
Oh, I was gonna
Say
that one.
he despises the movie and he has no interest in continuing the franchise after it.
Yeah, because it doesn't tie into anything.
Right. It gives the backstory of the demon, but that's it.
Nothing.
And that's what I feel like supports Toby
Yeah.
being named after the Book of Tobit. But we'll go into that after the trivia.
Okay. All right, I have a couple more.
Okay, me too.
What was the total gross earning on opening night for the second movie?
50 million.
Nope. 6.3 million.
Ooh, okay.
Which is the biggest opening for a horror movie of all time, totaling $41,500,000 in the opening weekend.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. In Paranormal Activity 4, what was the password that Alex's boyfriend set up to access the recordings?
What? Oh my gosh. Was it inappropriate?
No.
It wasn't?
No. So Alex thought it was Big Ben, and then they made an innuendo joke about that.
Oh yeah.
But no.
I don't remember.
The password was Odd Robbie.
Oh yeah, Odd Robbie because of the freaking weird kid.
The kid.
Yeah, that's funny. Okay. Whose house did they film in the first movie?
The director, Oren Peli,
Good
whatever
job.
it is. What is the most expensive budget for any of the franchise's films?
Definitely wasn't $15,000. How much was it, or
How much was it, and which film was it?
Ooh.
And or.
Probably the Ghost Dimension one.
Yep.
And it was probably, I don't know.
It was more than that opening.
Really?
Yes, $10 million.
Oh my god. Probably because of all of the
effects.
The effects that they did in that.
Yeah, and the multiple Christmas trees they kept swapping out.
Oh my
Just
gosh.
kidding. All right. I've only got one more trivia left. So.
I do not have any, so go ahead.
Okay. How many days did it take to shoot Ghost Dimension?
Ooh. Ghost Dimension. I don't know, 10 days?
45.
Oh.
The first film,
First film was 10.
10 days.
Yeah.
All right.
45 days. Jeez.
So
That's it?
my deep rabbit trail had to do with the demon itself.
All right, you got 5 minutes.
I know. So I'm going to try to go quick.
Okay.
So for my research, Toby was named after the Book of Tobit, or the Book of Tobias. The main demon featured in that story is Asmodeus. which ties into the seventh movie, kind of confirms it.
Right.
So Asmodeus disguises himself, allegedly under the name Toby. So did you know the Book of Tobit is a real book and was originally part of the Holy Bible?
That's crazy.
Yeah. So the Book of Tobit was part of a section of the Bible called the Apocrypha, Apocrypha, and it was nestled between the Old Testament and the New Testament. It didn't really fit in either. It didn't fit after Jesus' birth. It didn't fit in the Old Testament prophecies. And they weren't able to really deem it 100% authentic either, whether it be historically or kind of anywhere in that. It was kind of considered more of a feel-good story and wasn't 100% backed up through anybody's actual testimonies or historical evidence.
Right. They couldn't prove it or
Right.
whatever.
So somewhere along the kind of the test of time of how the Bible took shape into what it is today, and kind of the more modern version, they actually removed it during a kind of a council meeting of some of the churches or the church crowd or theologians, and they did not ask for funding to print that middle apocrypha part. So they started removing it from any of the modern versions. However, it is still used in Anabaptism and some Catholic and Anglican churches during wedding ceremonies. So in Anabaptism, it is quoted
Did you say Anabaptism?
A-N-A baptism, yeah.
Anabaptism. Okay.
It's used liturgically. I'm almost confident I'm not saying that
Liturgically?
right. Like liturgy.
Oh, okay.
So it's used as liturgy during Amish weddings, using the Book of Tobit as the basis for the wedding sermon or ceremony.
Oh.
So,
Do you think that's why they made a movie based
Yes.
on Amish people?
I think so.
Okay.
So I'm going to read an excerpt off of Wikipedia, because Wikipedia knows all and may or may not be accurate, but we're going to read it.
Okay.
The Book of Tobit, also known as the Book of Tobias, is a 3rd or early 2nd century BC Jewish work describing how God tests the faithful, responds to prayers, and protects the covenant community, the Israelites. It tells the story of 2 Israelite families, that of the blind Tobit in Nineveh, and of the abandoned Sarah in Ecbatana. Tobit's son Tobias is sent to retrieve 10 silver talents that Tobit once left in Rages, something like that, a town in Media. Guided and aided by the angel Raphael, he arrives in Ecbatana, where he meets Sarah. A demon named Asmodeus has fallen in love with her and kills anyone she intends to marry, but with the aid of Raphael, the angel, the demon is exorcised and Tobias and Sarah marry, after which they return to Nineveh, where Tobit is cured of his blindness. Yeah, so the 7th movie I feel like is less based on the Paranormal Activity franchise.
Right, it's more based on the book.
The Book of Tobit, yeah.
Gotcha.
So I think that's why it feels like a standalone thing.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
So, my second fun fact, because I went down a rabbit trail of why the Apocrypha wasn't necessarily included in the modern day Bible.
It's weird.
And I was stuck on the book called Demonology that Dennis was using for research.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who wrote a version of Demonology in... Do I not have it listed? 15 something? 1597. Do you know who wrote a book called Demonology?
I do not.
King James VI of Scotland. He was also King James I of England. He wrote a book called Demonology after he visited Denmark during their witch hunt trials. His book, Demonology, is also a heavy influence on Shakespeare's Macbeth.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that same King James is also the king that commissioned the King James Version of the Bible that was published in 1611.
Wow.
Yeah, so the same king that commissioned the English version of the Bible to be created and condensed also wrote a book about witchcraft.
Oh, that's...
And I think it's kind of cool.
That's kind of... I mean,
It's interesting.
It's interesting. I don't know that it's, like, cool. I guess it's kind of cool.
So, in his book, the book Demonology is basically an argument and comparison commentary between magic, sorcery, and witchcraft, and he then sorts demons within that book into four different sections. Um, Lemures or spectra, which are spirits that trouble houses or solitary places. Obsessions, spirits that outwardly trouble a specific person. Possessions, spirits that inwardly trouble people. And fairies, which are spirits that prophesy, consort, and transport.
Mm.
Um, King James also, in his commentary, this is also taken from Wikipedia, in his description of demons, he relates that demons are under the direct supervision of God and are unable to act without permission, further illustrating how demonic forces are used as a, quote, rod of correction when men stray from the will of God and may be commissioned by witches or magicians to conduct acts of ill will against others, but will ultimately only conduct works that will end in the further glorification of God, despite their attempts to do otherwise. So it's a bit of a
That's
conflicting
yeah, that's kind of
theory.
confusing.
Um, I think part of this can be tied back to the book of Job in the Bible,
Yeah.
where Job and Job's friends kind of say, "Well, God's doing this to you. He's making all these bad things happen to you." But it's not God making the bad things happen. It's him allowing
Allowing it to happen for certain
for
reasons.
his glorification in the
Right.
end. So I don't know that he's 100% off base,
Okay, that
but
makes
it
sense.
is a slippery slope to say whether God
Is
commands
punishing
the
it?
demons,
Yeah.
because he absolutely controls them.
Correct,
I
yeah.
feel like God has control over everything and everyone.
Right.
But I think more allowing their activities
Yeah.
as long as he sees the end goal of it being glorification to him. I think that makes sense, but it feels
It does
internally debatable.
it does feel debatable, however, it makes sense that that's in our life in general
Yeah,
why bad things happen,
right,
because in the end it might be to glorify him.
right. In some
So,
way, shape, or form, you're never going to know it in the moment.
right.
It's almost impossibly to see the mountaintop from the valley.
Yeah.
But I thought this was a really interesting rabbit hole for me to go
Wow,
on.
that is very interesting.
And my last fun fact was, did you know that Asmodeus was considered one of the alleged seven princes of hell? So there's a lot of different authors that categorize demons and
Oh yeah.
spirits
Yeah.
and things like that. So just one of them was by Peter Binsfeld, which is a German bishop and theologian. And in one of his books, he categorizes the seven princes of hell and corresponds them to each of the seven deadly sins.
Yeah.
We talked about this a little
We
bit.
did, yeah.
before
You
this.
showed me.
Do you remember any of the names of the demons or the seven deadly sins?
Well, I know some of the like lust, but they kind of go with the actual word, right? The name.
I don't know. I don't know the actual translations of any of the names. I've heard a lot of these names. There were a few that I hadn't before. So
Okay, go ahead and
Lucifer is the most common one.
Right.
Most of the time, Lucifer is considered to be kind of the king of demons almost,
tell me. Right.
and kind of the top of the seven princes. So Lucifer represents pride, pride being the leader. Mammon, Mammon, represents greed. Leviathan represents envy. Beelzebub represents gluttony. Satan represents wrath. Belphegor, which I had never heard of. And I
Belphegor.
may not even be saying that right.
Okay.
Belphegor represents sloth. And then the final one, Asmodeus, represents lust.
Oh.
And that ties back into the book of Tobit of
Gotcha. Sarah.
basically killing everybody that wanted to marry Sarah.
Right.
Also, Asmodeus, Toby kills anybody that is kind of around the marked ones, the
right,
children.
in the way
because he
of
wants
his
control of them.
right.
He lusts after them in some way, shape, or form.
Oh, I'm learning so much.
Right? So that was I stayed up all night one night, and the name Asmodeus just kept replaying in my head. Every time I woke up, I would look in the shadows, and it was a really rough night of sleep.
I hope you prayed and prayed
I
and
did.
prayed.
I actually learned to memorize a lot of scripture.
That's awesome.
for a very kind of selfish reason of just having something to go
Protection.
to, and yeah.
Oh yeah, and when we have been watching these movies, I say the Lord's Prayer after because I feel
Yeah.
like I don't want any of that released into our home.
Yeah. In a
Um,
weird way, this has made us focus a lot more on our spiritual journey and a
yes.
lot more on specific scripture.
Yes, I've been memorizing and reading a lot of scripture, and I want to go
Yeah.
back now and read Job again.
Job gets dark.
Yeah, I know.
It's a very depressing book.
Yeah.
If you can make it through it, it's good, but
Yeah.
it's heavy.
All
Much like
right.
these movies.
Yes. So yeah, that was a lot.
Sorry, I wanted to save it till the end instead of starting out real heavy.
No, it's okay. That's perfectly fine on that note. If you guys are interested in watching all of these movies, I highly recommend it. If you haven't like done a deep dive of it, I hope this kind of helps in that. I hope we didn't spoil too much, but
Nope. And they can all be found. The first 5 movies can be found on Max.
yeah.
The sixth one you have to rent somewhere. It's not on any streaming service for free.
Yeah.
And the seventh one is on Paramount Plus exclusively.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's basically our paranormal activity episode. So if you guys want to comment and like and subscribe and share, that would be awesome of you.
And let us know which franchise you
yeah.
want us to do next. We've
Let
got a
us
few in the works
let
already.
us know, and let us know what your favorite paranormal activity was and why.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.